All right, guys, welcome to November 22nd's pre-recorded Zoom. And okay, so what we had mentioned on Friday, from what I can recall, is that we were pretty much assuming a short-term conversion, at least from DXY to the upside. Excuse me. And that was due to what we talked about on Friday with the failed reaction, the continuation BOS, and then obviously the order flow supporting that, giving us a bit of a deeper retracement. So there hasn't really been much since then, as you can see. We had kind of, give me 1 second, guys, 1 second. Sorry, I had an important text there. So we had anticipated a potential retracement up until the continuation, but we were still realistically looking at more of a bearish overall sense, at least for, the medium term. I don't see this still being bullish unless, in my opinion, we pretty much break here. And the reason why that is because you can see that there's a reaction internally there. And that's really the only thing that would invalidate my bearish bias. But overall, I'm still bearish, even if we don't get the H4 POI here. It just gives us essentially a deeper opportunity for a bearish transition, right, into deeper or into lower pricing. So I don't necessarily see any type of change in comparison to what we talked about on Friday. However, because of how low the momentum has been this week, just as you can see, high momentum here, low momentum here, it still kind of gives me the assumption that we're probably going to still see a bit higher pricing, maybe not a reaction from here. Obviously that can of course change because we could take out this, create some sort of model on top of the fact that we just took out a previous high and made an unsubstantial new high, and that would cause a conversion. But obviously still in the picture as well, but I do see us taking out at least the short-term high. Transitioning into AUDUSD, this one kind of continued from what we talked about on Friday, because last week we had talked about how if we see the continuation BOS and we see nothing being taken out, then we can see the transition pretty much as you can see here, and that is exactly what happened there. So this one still hasn't changed as well. If we zoom out a bit, this one still, in my opinion, has potential to even just die here. The reason, the holdup right now really just is this POI here. This is the only thing holding us up. You see there's a confirmed reaction there. So now if there is a failed conversion, then there's an opportunity for a sell-off, right? However, I don't really see this continuing higher without, going a bit deeper. Excuse me. EURUSD, this one we anticipated a bit lower pricing on Friday, just because of how the order flow was structured here. How we were pretty much assuming that this was going to come up a bit higher, because I believe we were around here-ish and we were anticipating higher movement. So in comparison, this, because we see the continuation BOS, right, unwillingness, and then the transition right after or right before our call on Friday, that pretty much gave us the assumption that we would see a bit lower pricing, but this isn't something that I want to short per se. However, now that we have seen the move, there is potential to maybe catch an internal move into the downside. As far as where exactly, that I am not too sure of. I don't see many clear POIs as of right now, but I would like to see, what can happen at this H4 inefficiency, and maybe this could bring us a bit lower into that buy zone that we talked about. But this buy zone would only be valid with a bullish transition, right? Not from a scalp, but from a minor major intraday. Excuse me. Gold, same thing. We anticipated a bit of a retracement, and this is probably going to be one of our last deeper retracements, and we can see this just start to really give us super impulsive moves into the upside. And the reason why I say that is because gold, if you notice, right, after you see the transition, after you see a deep retracement, it's just immediate continuations. But that's something for you guys to look into. But as of right now, because we have broken a very major high, order flow disruption as well, because that has occurred, I am still, very bullish on this. However, if we are to break this POI that we had been anticipating, then any move here would need, you know, a very strong transition, because realistically you could even assume POI, continuation BOS, liquidity grab based on a high, and you could assume bearish pricing. So depending on whether or not we break through this POI or not, could really dictate whether or not this overall bullish bias can fail. But as of right now, I can still only assume that bullish sense from the higher term. The final one, US 30, we were talking about, you know, that H4 POI, and we were talking about how potentially liquidity could be, you know, a factor as to why this could continue lower, right? And as you can see, we were anticipating, right, the immediate continuation. The reason why I came up here is just for the inefficiency. That gave a confirmed reaction, as you can see. And this is very interesting because you see, right, the continuation BOS here based on this, which is based on the M15 inefficiency. That creates a confirmed reaction. But once this reaction fails, I'm going to delete this actually. Right, once the continuation BOS fails, you guys know that this is now a type of variant of structural disruption here. Right, so what's interesting here is this is showing us not necessarily just that there's a structural disruption, but that the structural disruption is showing us an unwillingness to continue lower, meaning that your invalidation is at that structural low. This is now the bullish invalidation because we have a confirmed reaction from the POI, we have a confirmed reaction from the continuation. That failed, and as you can see, as long as the invalidation is not met, we do not necessarily, or we cannot assume any type of, you know, transition into the downside. This is where you're more than likely looking for any type of buys within a discount. But yeah, very interesting. The bias that we talked about on Friday technically is correct because we had the confirmed reaction. Just so you guys know, if you have a confirmed reaction, then your bias at the moment was correct from at least a minor intraday stance. However, the overall direction might have been incorrect, and that's where, you know, you can see those quote unquote mistakes. But the confirmed reactions, studying confirmed reactions, which realistically is just a continuation BOS off of POI, analyzing whether those fail or succeed will really dictate if you will get, you know, a strong reaction or a valid reaction or a valid bias as a whole. But yeah, other than that, nothing much has changed. We're still, this one might be a little bit bullish now, especially when we take out liquidity and we're seeing impulsive move potentially manifest itself to the upside. AUDUSD, this one still see potential downside. EURUSD still also see potential downside. And gold still short-term downside, but we're looking for the buy there, of course. But yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys on Friday.